producer, Kerry Kohansky-Roberts. Before we start talking about Christy, we're going to roll a clip. That was a brilliant Merritt Weather playing your mum, or Christy's mum. And Kerry, you told me just now backstage that that was a pretty accurate representation of the situation, which is horrifying. Sydney, so Christy Martin pretty much invented female boxing. I mean, she was a phenomenal character. And she went through so much, and I don't want to spoil the film, but I do want to say that she went through some life-threatening domestic violence. And you yourself have said that this has been the most impactful role of your life, and that you went into this film believing it can actually save lives. Can you talk about what it's meant to you to play Christy Martin?
It's been an immense responsibility. If you haven't seen Christy, she is one of the most impactful, important, inspirational women I've ever had the chance to meet. She has fought within the ring, outside the ring, and she's an incredible role model. So being able to bring her story to a wider audience and hopefully save lives through that has been the greatest gift that I could have ever been given.
Kerry, can you tell us a little bit about how the story of Christy came to be told? I mean, it's so much more than a sports biopic. It's about domestic violence, yes, and about, I guess, the fact that she also had to deal with so much being dismissed just for being a woman in a man's world. There's so much to this story. Can you talk about how you came to tell it?
Yeah, I mean, as producers, we want to tell extraordinary stories of extraordinary people, and Christy is that in immense ways, like what she's achieved in the sport world, but also what she's overcome in this multi-year relationship, controlling relationship with her husband, who is, very controlling and very abusive, and to come out of it, like, to be able to tell stories that are impactful, as Sydney just said, but to make a difference, to hopefully be an avenue for people to talk about it and to feel open about their own situations and people they know.
Something people might not know about you, Sydney, is that you were trained as a kickboxer and MMA fighter at the age of 12. Was this like an immediate yes to you to play this role because you were just like ready to get back to that?
Yes. So when I was 12, I started kickboxing, grappling, and I did it until I was like 19 years old. And I worked with Ronda Rousey senseis. I loved it. I had competitions like all guys. And I'd always been kind of searching for a role that I could tap back into that. And then when I read Christy, I mean, there's so many layers to it. Yes, I get to fight again, I got to train again, but I was bawling my eyes out throughout the entire script, and I was like, this is just such a fascinating character. So I kind of got a bit of everything from it.
Kerry, can you talk about the process of casting Sydney? I know you'd seen her in reality, right?
Yeah, we had, Sydney is an extraordinary actress and takes on very brave roles, and it was reality that really blew us away. Just the rawness and the realness that she played, and she exhibits that in this film on steroids, basically. But we had seen some video of Sid. You can find things these days, and we had seen some video of her boxing and kickboxing, and we were blown away. But one thing I want to point out, from the second Sid came on board, she went into transformation, and it wasn't just physical, it was mental as well, and it was like getting into the depth of the role of Christy, like the mental aspect of it, and going deep, and she was so committed and transformed just inner and outer, and it shows on this film. Can't wait for you guys to see it if you haven't already.
When I saw this film, I was immediately blown away by the humility it takes to transform yourself, especially when you're a woman in Hollywood with so much pressure on you, there's so much expectation to look a certain way, be a certain way, and you fully transformed yourself, and you gained weight, you trained to box, you were there for months and months doing this. Was there something liberating in that, in taking, kind of being another person in so profound a way?
I felt the strongest I'd ever felt. I felt the most me, the most free. I was having the most fun. But it was all that, one, because of Christy, but also I love to be an actor. I want to transform. I want to play these characters that I get to lose myself in and completely become somebody else. And Christy allowed me to do that.
Let's talk about the presence of Christy on the set. So, from what I understand, she couldn't actually speak to Ben Foster, who played her ex-husband, former manager, who was so abusive. What was that like, kind of wanting to protect her, but also stay authentic to the story? How did you both manage that?
Well, there's a lot leading up to it. So the first week we filmed a lot of the ending of the film, which is the most violent part, and Christy wasn't there. We wanted to protect her from that. And then on that following Monday, Christy came for the first day. And when she walked in, the entire crew all stood up and just started applauding her because they'd seen firsthand what she went through, and then seeing her stand there in front of all of them was just, I think the importance of the story that we were telling really hit everyone, and throughout the rest of the entire production, everyone cared immensely for it. But Christy, she saw Ben and started cursing and ran the other way and was like, I'm never gonna talk to this guy, I don't wanna see him. And that, I mean, that just goes to show how incredible Ben embodied Jim Martin. But then on the last day, once Ben was wrapped and he came to set as Ben, she gave him a hug. And I started crying my eyes out. It was the most beautiful thing ever. They have such an amazing friendship now. He goes to her fights and travels with her, and it's really cute.
He brings his parents to her fights.
Yeah.
She promotes. They have a really nice friendship. But the first day she saw Ben, I think it brought up so much trauma, and he was so committed, as was Sid, and their parts and their everything. And she said, "I will meet Ben on the last day of shooting." And they had the biggest hug, and we were all like, it was a very warm moment.
I hope that was somehow cathartic for her in a way. Sydney, I know that you've punched for real in this movie. This was not play boxing, as your co-star informed me when I talked to her in Toronto.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to it. Like, Christy comes to life in the ring. Like, there's so much growth and so much personality and so much happening when she's in this ring. She feels free, so she can let it all out. And I wanted to make sure that we could see that on camera. And so you can't be on the back of my head. You can't be cutting it all choppy so that you can fake the punches. And I also love to fight. So on day one, I remember going to the girls. I had an amazing stunt team. They were professional stunt girls, but then also some boxers. And I told each one of them, I said, hit me. Hit me hard. And can I hit you? So there were bloody noses. I got a concussion. It was a blast. I'm actually really good, guys.
We were very careful. Medics on set, and everyone was okay.
True producer.
Christy wants to sign me to fight. So if I disappear for a year, guys, you know where I'm gonna be.
I don't want to even think about the insurance premiums that you had to pay.
They didn't know until now.
When Christy was on the set, was she sort of directing you in the fights? Because I'm sure she couldn't help herself.
Oh, I would hear her from the bottom of the ring, get her with the left hook. And I'd be like, Christy, you know what's gonna happen, because every single fight in the movie is the actual combinations from her real fight. So not only was I relearning how to box and box like Christy, I was walking exactly like her. Like every single combination, left hook, her when she sticks her tongue out at him, like everything was exactly pulled from the real fights. And I'm like, Christy, you did these fights, you know what's gonna happen. She goes, but she's wide open, you just gotta get her.
Now, I know you had to sort of quickly transform back because you had to shoot, I think, Euphoria season 3 and The Housemaid. Did that help you to kind of let go of the emotion that came with this role? Because I can't imagine carrying the feeling of the level of trauma you had to play out. It must have been a lot.
It was. I gained 35 pounds for the role, and then I had 7 weeks to be able to lose it all for Housemaid and Euphoria. So I had to be very strict with myself. But you lose muscle faster than you lose fat, so the moment I stopped training immensely like that, I lost that kind of really quickly, sadly. And then because I was so strict with myself, it was easier to leave it on set. But I think Christy will probably stay with me forever, and I think that's a good thing.
What kind of feedback have both of you had regarding the domestic violence representation of this film? I think this is, honestly something that we should be showed in schools. It's educational, how not to get into coercive, controlling relationships. Can you speak to some feedback you've had?
So we've been doing quite a few of these Q&As, and it's always incredible and also very sad how common it is to have someone come up to me or Christy and share their story with us and say how meaningful it is to have Christy's story on the screen. And it's I mean, I don't think I've walked away from one Q&A without someone coming up to me and sharing their story. And Christy said one time, like a few weeks ago, she goes, I hope that in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years down the road, a dad sits his daughter down and says, I want you to watch Christy because I don't want you to ever end up in a relationship like this. And I remember her saying, I was like, this is why we did this. This is why this art is powerful and meaningful, because we can change lives like that.
How about you, Carrie?
I would just add on that, had some wonderful reactions, but the one most meaningful to me was a dear friend of mine who just saw it on Veterans Day with her, and she took her daughter, and she was so blown away by it, and her, her daughter, she wanted the conversations afterward. These are things and signs you have to look out for as you enter relationships, and it could be for daughters and sons. And to know the manipulation starts, and it's just such a gray area, and it's sometimes hard to get out of these relationships, and oftentimes is. And I think 1 in 4, the statistic is 1 in 4 women are in these relationships. So it's very important that we talk about it, and we have an area, an avenue to bring our kids to talk about it, and also be inspired by the role of Christy. I mean, Christy is alive today, and she's incredible, and she's just as strong and the inside, and we're just here to celebrate her.
Before I let you go, Sydney, I've got to ask, give us a clue what we're going to see on Euphoria season 3. I can't help myself.
You know I can't say anything.
I know. Damn it.
I can't say anything at all. I wrapped last week though.
You were?
I wrapped last week.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Very excited. We filmed since February. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm ready. So I want to say with that though, that this film moved me immensely. It really affected me. I hope all of you get to see this film. It's such an important piece of work. Congratulations, Sydney Sweeney and Kerry Roberts. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you guys.